So, hi, I am Ian the Duelist. I run a small fencing club and I also produce blades. So far, I've been able to only produce knives, but very recently, as you saw in my very first build video in this channel, I've made my first sword. A 1786 regulation spadroon. It has several flaws indeed. As you saw in the video, the quenching really bent the blade. Fit and finish has always been the bane of my existence, but you deal with it and you get better. I definitely need more practice. But the transition from a knife maker to a sword maker was, I think, one of the most valuable lessons in this. You really begin to understand how much purpose and how much harder and just how much more precise you have to be when making something like this. Talking about this blade has been difficult for me because I really wanted it to be something even better than what it is now, than how it turned out. But you know, for a first sword, I'll take it. The real thing that I also wanted to talk about is a bit of my journey of being a bladesmith. I've been wanting to bladesmith since I was 14 years old. I was able to make my very first knife when I was 18. From then on, it went for 2 years until I finally made this. Since that first knife, I've been able to make 55 pieces, many of which were practice swords, either based from machetes or this one that I made 2 days ago. This is the first sword that I've ever forged. It's the first sword that I've ever made from scratch. The first heat treatment that I did on a blade of this length. And oh boy, were the lessons many. Making the sword really provides a good insight into the design that these things were made with. How much intentionality there is behind these. Just sticking to the historical weights and thicknesses provides you a window into what the people wanted out of their weapons. This has 8 millimeters here, tapering down all the way to 2 millimeters, 2 or 2.5 millimeters at the tip. In profile taper, it tapers somewhat, but not much. The main thing that you're looking at is the distal taper. Due to this, the weapon feels really nice in the hand. It has such a nice point of balance. The mass distribution, you feel everything. You understand where this blade is, you understand how to move it. And it's one of the few things that is actually good about this first sword that I've ever made. And it really does provide a vision into what these things were. Weapons, first and foremost. Another thing that I've learned is also how much and how difficult it is to be a blacksmith, and how much you have to sacrifice when you live in a place where this is not a skill that is readily available. Throughout my 6 years of wanting to be a professional bladesmith, I had to save up for the tools because there wasn't any class that taught this. And once I learned and made my first knife, just like this sword, or I think even worse than this sword, my first knife was a bit of a disappointment. Not only did it not have a good fit and finish, but it was barely functional as a tool. You could use it, but it didn't have a particularly sharp edge. Even if I had already practiced putting edges on knives, making the bevel was a bit of a challenge. took a bit of a learning curve that I eventually mastered, but a learning curve nonetheless. The first knife is never the best. But through all of this, even even with these limitations, even with no available classes, I was able to get from that first knife all the way here to a sword, to a weapon that you can wield with ease, with a great point of balance, a lot of historical precedent, a lot of culture behind it, but most importantly, a durable weapon, a tool that actually does its job. It has a decent edge, it's not the best, this is not a cutting sword after all, but you can cut water bottles and such. But it is durable. It is a durable little sword, it is a sturdy thing that I've been able to make. And seeing it reminds me of just how far I've come. And to any struggling bladesmiths or blacksmiths that stumble upon this video, let this serve as a bit of inspiration. You can do it. It's gonna take sacrifice and it's gonna take effort and there's gonna be disappointment, but you can eventually make something like this and even better blades. I sincerely hope that my story does serve the purpose of inspiring other people with this passion, or really with any other passion, really, and help them achieve their dreams and provide an example that it's not impossible, even with limitations, even with economic limitations, skill-based limitations, even without classes, you can teach yourself how to forge, and you can teach yourself how to make an item that serves its purpose as a tool. I myself am not a perfect blacksmith. By any means, fit and finish is still the bane of my existence. But in the short time that I've been able to smith and make blades, I've made some pretty massive improvements. Heat treatment is no longer a problem for me, besides this, because I don't have a straightening jig. You know, this thing looks a bit like a snake when you look down the blade. But that's a simple fix. The distal taper I fucked up a bit, but also that's a simple fix. Just make it thicker here, and that's it. I'm on my way to becoming a decent bladesmith and a swordsmith. If I can do it, with all my limitations, so can everyone else. And please, stay with me in this journey I am going through, of making swords and knives and other such products, other such blades, because this is not the last that you'll see of me in this channel. So, that's it for today. I think my next video is going to be a build video on a practice version of this blade. I've made one already, but I'm going to have to modify because that one turned out a bit ugly. But there's people who want them and I have to make them, so I might as well record it and provide some entertainment as well as some useful pointers for potential blacksmiths. So, good day.